Yeah, we'll do the plaques down there. She'll deliver them to you and I'll take a picture.
Okay. All right. Everybody ready?
Let's rock and roll.
All right, good evening, everyone. If you have everybody, please take a seat here. We will get started. To begin with, I ask everybody to silence or turn off your cell phones so as not to interrupt the proceedings this evening. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. First up on the agenda for this evening, we have proclamations and presentations. The first one will be a Government Finance Officers Association GFOA Triple Crown Award. Mr. Starks, I believe you have some plaques for us, and I'll meet you down at the podium.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and members of our community. So recently, the city received some fantastic news, and that's that we were notified the city is a Triple Crown winner. So it's a prestigious award recognizing governments that achieve the highest standards in financial reporting and budgeting, and have received GFOA's Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, Popular Annual Financial Reporting Award, and Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. This is a first for the city and is a significant achievement. The city is one of just 14 cities and counties across the state that have received the designation, and just 441 governments throughout the nation to receive it. Each award recognizes governments that produce reports which communicate their financial stories in a transparent, accountable, and easily understandable manner. And it exemplifies the city's intentional commitment to the community to maintain transparent communication and preserve public confidence. So with that, I want to extend a big thank you to current and past city staff for their involvement in achieving this designation. And then, as noted on the agenda item, all of the city's financial documents can be located on the city's website under fridleymn.gov, your government, /public records, / city finances. So we'll have another plaque in the mail, but with that, I do have our 3 plaques for the awards we've already received. So,
Yep.
There we go.
All right,
Thank you.
It's a lot of hardware you gotta move on.
As always, we're very proud of our staff and the work that they do, and I know we have exceptional people in all of our departments. So, Joe, but thank you very much for everything that you do and your department. Our next item would be a proclamation of appreciation for Joe Young for leadership of the Fridley 49ers Days Committee. And Joe, if you would please meet me up at the podium. So, appreciation for Joe Young for leadership of the Fridley 49ers Days Committee. Whereas Joe Young has served as the chair of the Fridley 49ers Days Committee since 2023, and whereas her leadership has been instrumental in expanding and improving the community festival to celebrate Fridley through the Fridley Lions Parade, musical performances, family activities, athletics, the arts, community partnerships, and more. And whereas Joe has spent countless hours leading planning meetings, coordinating event details with staff, and building relationships with community organizations and sponsors. And whereas she has served as an ambassador between event stakeholders such as the City of Fridley, the Fridley Lions, Fridley Public Schools, and others, and whereas Joe has provided a positive approach, steady guidance, tenacity, and a trustworthy decision-making during times of challenge, and whereas her leadership embodies and inspires the City of Fridley's values of being friendly, responsive, and driven, and whereas Joe Young will be stepping down as the committee chair, leaving the event and organization in a position of strength with a beautiful new home in the newly renovated Commons Park. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Dave Oswald, Mayor of the City of Fridley, do hereby proclaim Monday, July 27th as Joe Young Appreciation Day in the City of Fridley. Wow. Joe. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you. And please share a few words with us here.
I think Miss Ann's coming this way. Oh my gosh, I'm shaking.
This is from all your 49ers team. So
Oh, awesome.
it's been great working with you.
Thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you. If I could, if it's all right, I just have a few words, only 3 pages, okay? No, seriously. So first of all, thank you so much. I'm really humbled that you're recognizing me in this fashion. I'm very honored and actually kind of thrilled, okay? Let's be, it's really fun. But, you know, a single person never does a major event of this magnitude. It takes a team, and it takes a lot of the community working together. And I know there are a number of the community members that are here today. Ann Bolcom, if you would please stand. Brad Goodham, if you would please stand. I don't know if anybody else from the committee was able to make it tonight. Angie Nolan, you're here with us. There's a number of people that have been an instrumental part of making this happen. This year, the Parks and Rec staff were absolute rock stars as well. I got to tell you. And Cody Rossetti, who stepped in and did bingo, apparently he was practicing in his office at Springbrook because he hadn't done it before, so that was giving some folks some amusement there. Mike Mayer with the always doing the medallion hunt and doing such a great job with that. Margot Numedal, who can't be here tonight with us, she is just a steady rock star for this event every single year. So this year brought a lot of challenges with the new park. I would drive over, I'm sure as many of us did, at least on a weekly basis, checking out how everything was, what the progress was everything okay? And I can't imagine the amount of work that the staff, that Parks and Rec, the city engineering, everybody here in the city focused on getting that park and those streets ready. And I think we all owe them a huge thank you for that work. So thank you for that. So all of this fun stuff happening, and what happens? Smoke, right? We moved it from June to July so we wouldn't get rained out. But instead, we got the wildfires. But we still had an absolute great event on Friday and Saturday. I also want to make certain that we thank our sponsors, because without the donation from our sponsors, we wouldn't have this event. The businesses in Fridley have been supporting this for the last 50-some years, and it's really important that we always acknowledge that sponsorship as well. On a personal note, this festival has its roots in my soul. I participated in the very first Fridley 49ers Silver Jubilee as being somebody who worked with them to put in 2 floats representing the first year of the Fridley School's summer theater. There was carnival, and we used wagons from Bob's Produce as part of that event. And then our daughter was an ambassador in 2003, and Jim and I learned what it's like to have the proper parade behavior, how to pull a float, and what is a good parade lineup and what is a bad parade lineup, because there is a difference, let me tell you. But being a part of this marvelous community has been an incredible gift for me. I've had the opportunity to meet and work with some pretty amazing people, and they also who love this city as much as I do. And I'm really thankful that I've had this chance to be here and be honored in this manner. And while I won't be on the committee, I will be there having fun next year and the year after. So, thank you. Thank you all.
Come on, Jan.
Sure, absolutely.
Now we're gonna take our family and go celebrate.
Free up some seats.
Thank you for your service.
Pleasure.
Leave Grandma.
All right, next on this evening's agenda would be a presentation with the proposed consent agenda that would be provided by our city manager, Mr. Wally Wysopal.
Thank you, Your Honor. The following items are considered routine by the City Council, and approval by one motion is only required. We have approval of minutes, which includes the minutes from the City Council meeting of July 13th. We have receipt of the minutes of the City Council conference meeting of July 13th. Under new business, Resolution 2026-84 is receipt of the petition for traffic calming improvements on 60th Avenue from 4th Street to 7th Street. Resolution 2026-87 approves the gifts, donations, and sponsorships received between June 18th and July 22nd of this year. Under new business, we have claims of Resolution 2026-88, which approves the payment of the claims for the period ending July 22nd. And that's the consent agenda for this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Wysopal. Is anyone on the council who would like any of these items removed from the consent agenda and moved and put onto the regular agenda for further discussion? Is there anyone in the audience that would like any of the items that are on this evening's consent agenda and moved to the regular agenda for further discussion? Seeing none, a motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
That's a motion from Bolkin, a second from Evanson. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that carries unanimously. Next item this evening would be the open forum. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to discuss anything that is not on this evening's agenda that they would like to bring to the council for informational purposes only? Sir, if you please state your name.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Derek Lind. I'm with ACID. I was here to respond to some comments that was made by Commissioner Meisner back on June 22nd. I didn't realize that you had a packed house. They're here for another reason. Unfortunately, I can't make another date, so what I'm thinking is maybe I can drop this off and then I can reach out to you guys by phone and we can take it up that way, and that way you guys can focus on what you want to focus on, if that's okay with you.
That'd be fine.
Does that work?
If you want to-
Okay. I'll leave this here and then I'll reach out to you guys by phone, and then if you guys could return my call.
City clerk will handle it then. Thank you.
Do we need to move it into the record at all?
Yeah, we should probably accept that into the record. Take a motion for exception of the documents into the record.
So moved.
Second.
That's motion Bolcom, second Evanson. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries unanimously.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Derek. Is there anyone else that has anything that is not on this evening's agenda?
I have a question about what's on the agenda, which is, will you be hearing public comment on the ALPR item when you get to that part of the agenda?
I will address that as the item comes up, yes.
Was that a yes?
You'll hear exactly what we're going to do this evening, and once this is addressed, yes, I'm going to allow some comments, and there'll be some stipulations with that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else has anything that not on this evening's agenda that they would like to discuss with the council? Seeing none?
Mr. Mayor, is there any way we could do the public hearing so the people that are here only for that public hearing could not have to stay around till the, is that any way we could do that?
Well, if you want to make a motion to reorganize the items on the agenda, that would be possible. I would guess that you're taking,
9 and 10.
yep,
Would it maybe be appropriate to know how many people are here for that?
for the street rehab project? How many are for the street rehab project? 1, 2, okay, we've got just a few people for that.
Maybe half a dozen or so.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a long conversation, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, we have relatively few number of people.
And then, did you want, and is the owner of the center bar here
Yeah,
also?
the liquor license should
the
be
liquor
here as
license?
well.
They're here.
She's there,
Yeah,
okay,
she's
yes.
here, so.
Okay, we got them in the back.
Okay, I was just,
So if there's you would require a motion to amend the agenda, which would need to be approved by a majority of the council to reorganize the agenda for the evening.
I mean, I'm okay with it if that allows people that are here for one thing to, we want to give people the amount of time to speak, I think, that they want. I don't want to rush some groups
right.
so that we have to get to something else. It might accommodate the best use of time so that I'm okay with it if you want to make a motion.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to make a motion?
Anyone else have any thoughts to the contrary?
I'm okay with that, fine.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we move items number 9 and 10 in front of number 8.
I would second that.
I'll give that. So it's a motion from Volcom, second Cardona. Any further discussion on that? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, then we're going to move up to, we'll do item number 9, public hearing on resolution number 2026-86, adopting the assessment for the 2026 street rehabilitation project number ST 2026-01. And Brandon, I believe you would have a presentation on that one? Or-
Correct.
Is that
Thank,
Joe?
thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of the community. Tonight, we'll go over a presentation for the assessment related to the 2026 street rehabilitation project. So Minnesota State Statute, Section 429.021, and Section 8.03 of the city charter authorize council to finance certain public improvements through special assessments. Consistent with the assessments chapter of the city code and other policies, the city typically levies special assessments as part of most street improvement projects.
Excuse me, can we open the public hearing?
Yep.
I move to move
Here you go.
You take a motion to open the public hearing.
to open the public hearing.
Second?
Motion Volcom, second from Bessie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously. Sorry, Mr. Starks, you please continue.
Yes, would you like me to start from the beginning?
No, I think we got it from
Okay.
here. We'll keep rolling.
Yep. Minnesota statute 429 does outline a specific process for a government to levy an assessment. And consistent with this thus far, the city's ordered a preliminary report, plans and specifications, accepted a preliminary report, called for the public hearing, conducted the public hearing, ordered the final plans and specifications and called for bids, received bids and awarded a contract, declared costs to be assessed, ordered the preparation of the proposed assessment roll and scheduled a public hearing, mailed notices of the public hearing to benefiting households, and then published the notice for the public hearing in the June 17th edition of the city's official publication. And so during the public assessment and hearing, the council may receive public comment on this proposed assessment and may consider approving the assessment roll once done. So as part of the assessment process, those subject to the assessment may appeal it by filing a written objection, either with the city clerk prior to the hearing or to the presiding officer of the hearing tonight, which would be you, Mayor. Following a properly filed objection, a property owner may appeal an assessment by serving notice upon the mayor or city clerk within 30 days after adoption, and subsequently with the district court. To date, the clerk's office has not received any objections regarding the proposed assessment. We have received a number of phone calls related to how to pay the assessment. And then I did personally meet with a resident regarding the deferral program, which I'll get into as well. And I'll let Brandon take over.
So as far as the 2601 street project, it was up in the Melody Manor neighborhood with the 2601, it had the west half and the east half. The special assessments under consideration pertain to the rehabilitation of streets identified in the street resurfacing plan. This project included pavement rehabilitation and miscellaneous utility improvements along the following streets. Like I said, on the west side there, from 73rd up to Osborne, we had Symphony Street, 74th Avenue, 75th Avenue, 4th Street, 76th Avenue, and 5th Street. And then on the east half of the neighborhood, we had Van Buren Street, Abel Street, 75th Avenue, and 76th Avenue. And as far as the special assessments go, it only includes the street portion. So this project is currently under construction. So as you can see up on the photos on the screen, the contractor started with making the streets a gravel road through the reclaim process, where they pulverized the existing pavement and aggregate base to create a new gravel road for the temporary time being, and began with removals of the concrete curb and gutter and driveways where needed. And then a good portion of this project, on the right side, where we had water main replacement. Before they started any of the water main replacement, they hooked up temporary water so that all residents had water throughout the entire water main reconstruction process, which not every street in the street project had water main replacement. We only replaced on Abel Street, 76th, Symphony, 74th, and 5th Street. Here's some more photos. The one on the left is the water main work taking place. As you can see, there's a deep excavation down to the existing water main that got replaced, as well as we replaced some of the hydrants in the neighborhood. And then on the right side is curb and gutter installation. Up to this point, we have installed some of the curb and gutter on the east side. Some of it was by machine, where we had the long stretch of water main work that took out the concrete curb and gutter. So there's the picture on there. It's from Abel Street on the west side there. And then the picture on the left here is the contractor doing a subcut on Van Buren Street. We found out that the existing base and pavement didn't create enough gravel base to give us a good new base for the upcoming road section. So we did a subcut down to the subgrade so that we can have a better product after the street project is done. And then the picture on the right is the concrete curb and gutter spot replacement. In areas where we didn't do water main, we only replace curb where it is damaged or settled or causing drainage issues. So it's a little bit hard to tell in that picture, but not every panel of concrete curb and gutter is getting replaced on the project. So like I said, we're in the process of the construction right now. So what's remaining? The first item on the left there is water main construction, currently working on Symphony Street. After they are done with Symphony Street, they will move to 74th between the East Service Road and Lyric. And then they'll be on 5th Street near the hospital there up to Osborne after that. Concrete curb and gutter is still to remain. They have the remaining sections that have been removed on the east side, plus the majority of the west side, timing that kind of when the water main gets finished. With the street project, we do the asphalt in 2 lifts. We call the first one the base bituminous non-wear course. That for the east side is anticipated to get completed this week. So it'll be nice to have some asphalt down on the east side of the neighborhood. And then with the west side will be anticipated to be right after all the water main work has been completed. And then the second lift of asphalt will get, the final lift will get paved once the project is ready. After the base lift is paved and the iron has been raised, and they are ready to go for the final lift. Then after the final lift of asphalt, they come back and they do bituminous saw and seal, where they cut into the streets every about 40 feet. This helps with our Minnesota climate to help with the freeze thaw. And then we will do the restoration of disturbed areas, so all of the boulevards and yards will get restored. And punch list items, so anything that the contractor needs to finish before we completely close out the contract. On the right side are the substantial completions that are within the contract itself. The east portion streets are slated to be done by August 28th. Since that is right next to Woodcrest Elementary, we wanted to make sure that we were done with all construction prior to school starting. And then the west portion has a substantial completion of October 30th. At this point, we believe that the contractor should be substantially complete by early September. And then under the contract has to be completely complete, final completion, November 13th of this year.
So per city policy, the assessment totals $743,981 levied against 170 benefiting properties within the area. Total project costs are $2,451,267,000 with funding sources identified via special assessments, MSA utility funds. The assessments for the project are consistent with the roadway major maintenance financing policy. The $4,100 assessment per low density residential parcel is $300 lower than the preliminary estimate for the special assessment as proposed in December of last year. So per city policy, property owners may repay the assessment over a 10-year period at an interest rate of 4.25%. If you recall, up until a couple years ago, the city's policy was to utilize the prime rate and add 2% on it. If that were the case now, it would be 8.75%. So that's been a nice change to the community. Property owners, they can pay their assessment interest-free until November 13th. And the city accepts check, cash, and credit card, no fee to use a credit card. And then pursuant to the assessments chapter of City Code, any person can pay all or part of the assessment, provided that the partial payment is at least $100. So not required to make a prepayment. If nothing is done, it would be certified to your property taxes. So after prepayments, any remaining balance with the interest as accrued from the date of City Council adoption would then be certified to Anoka County for collection with property taxes. And then benefiting homeowner can pay off the remaining balance in full at any time by November 13th. So we've got that. And then this is an example of a proposed assessment for those that have a $4,100 special assessment. And so principal of $4,100, interest of approximately $1,033.33 for an approximate total repayment of $5,133.33. I mentioned the deferment opportunity. Per Minnesota statutes and city policy, a person 65 years of age or older, or one retired by virtue of a permanent and total disability, or military personnel ordered to active duty can defer their special assessment under certain circumstances. So the property owner must own the property as a qualified residential homestead, so it must be owner occupied. Again, mention the 65 years of age or older, disabled or retired, in the military piece. The individual must make an application within 30 days of approval of the assessment roll and must meet certain income standards. So per city policy and what was adopted previously by council, the income standards are the initial year's payment needs to be at least or above 2% of the total annual household income. So, and then even though it would be deferred, interest would still accrue until the assessment is paid in full. So the recommendation, based on the process to date, Staff would recommend the council open the public assessment hearing, which you've done, to accept public comment. At the conclusion of the hearing, we would, the recommendation would be for council to consider adopting resolution number 26-86, adopting the assessment for 2026 street rehabilitation project, number ST-2026-01. And then upon approval, the city clerk would transmit a certified copy of the resolution to the county auditor. And then also upon approval, staff would then mail out courtesy letter reminders to all benefiting properties with the payment deadline being November 13th. We'd likely send out multiple reminders. And for council's sake too, we're doing this hearing in July to allow benefiting homeowners more time to pay off their assessment. So generally, we've had them in the fall. So, and then on this last slide for project updates, you can sign up for project updates. If you have any questions regarding the project, you can contact the engineering division. And then if you have any questions regarding the special assessment process, you can contact the finance department, specifically Pat Magrack, the city assessor. And I'll leave this information up on the screen for a while here. That's all for the presentation.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the presentation. Does council have any questions they'd like to ask of staff regarding this project? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to approach the council that has any questions for staff or ourselves? Come on up. Please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Chanel Perez, and I am representing the homeowner for 7584 Able Street. We aren't necessarily opposed to maintaining our roads. Obviously, it's needed. But we are struggling a little bit to understand how these properties were specifically addressed, the uniform 4100 special benefit, especially the intersection of 76 and Able Street. Primarily serves the school traffic. There's not a lot of residential heavy traffic that comes through that area. Most of our neighbors have lived on this street, are all retired for over, 20 years or so. So we're just a little confused on the, or I guess we were just hoping if you could explain how the city determined the benefit to this property as opposed to the general public, so for like the school or anything like that.
Brandon, can you answer that one?
Yeah, yes, Mayor and Council. So as far as our policy goes, we look, as far as major rehabilitation and obviously Melody Manor came up as far as streets needing to be replaced. So once it gets to that point, we do a feasibility report, we bring that to council, and we kind of give our, make sure we have enough funding, enough budget. And so in following the policy, we break it down based on, what streets are getting done and who lives on it. And you bring up the school, and the school does pay an assessment. So they're also paying on this project as well. They're not considered a LDR, it's called a low density residential. So they're paying, I think theirs is around $40,000. So it's something that we do take into account with our policy that, we try to give our low single-family property owners the best deal that we can. So like I said, we calculated it out, and it's something that you only pay when it's in front of your house. And because it's something that as a homeowner, we want to make sure that it's, you don't have to pay for 40 years plus. It's something that, if everything holds up, it's your one time, hopefully, of paying this assessment, and rather than having to pay on projects that aren't in front of your house. And so that's kind of how we break out our street projects. So it's only, like I said, when it impacts right in front of your property, but we also take into factors of who else is using the street. Like I said, if it's a commercial business, if it's a school that generate higher volumes, they pay more on the assessment.
Thank you.
Does that answer your questions? Are you satisfied with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just curious how it was assessed.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who has any questions regarding this project?
Yeah, I've lived in this.
Yeah,
neighborhood.
please, yeah, step up and say who you are, please.
Yeah, I've lived in this, my name's Mark Zelenak, lived in that neighborhood for 30 years now. And my street will not be assessed this year, but next year I live on Melody. Anyhow, my question is, you're repairing all the streets in that neighborhood, but 73rd Avenue Extension is by far the worst road in that entire neighborhood. And I don't think that's on the list to have repairs. So that's my question, is just why 73rd Extension is not gonna be repaired, but pretty much all the other streets in the neighborhood are. Thank
Brandon, do you have an evaluation for that one?
Mayor and council, when you say extension, you're talking about the service road right on the north side
Yeah.
of 73rd?
Yeah.
Yep. So with that, we're looking at it in the planning stages of 73rd Avenue in itself, between University to Central. And we're planning to include the service road as part of that project. It's something that with MnDOT's Trunk Highway 47, they're looking at all the intersections along 47, and they may do some roundabouts and some changes. And so we're kind of looking at
All right,
73rd
quiet down, please.
to kind of match in to that, in which it may or may not include the service road as far as the design of what the future of 73rd is going to be.
What's the timeline on that?
We're hoping that we had public meetings, I think, about 2 years ago maybe, and we got some good feedback. And so we went kind of back into the drawing board, and we're hoping hopefully by the end of this year to having more public meetings to kind of get it in front of the public with some new alternatives, so that we can start working towards a design and also funding too, because it's going to be a pretty costly project. So we want to make sure we do it right.
Then or I'm sure the plans, you don't know yet, 73rd, would it go from, it's 2 lanes each way, would it go to a single lane each way with the center turn lane? Don't know.
At this point, it's an open canvas. I mean, we're looking at all of our different options. Obviously, we have 6 lanes of traffic in that right of way with the service road, with the 2 on the service road and 4 on 73rd. So it's something that, like I said, with the roundabout on the one end that don't need all the turn lanes, kind of see how that comes out of the Trunk Highway 47 and works its way towards east. But at this point, we haven't locked in on any. We're taking a look at, adding trails, stormwater, seeing what we can do. But at this point, we don't have a design.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Kathy Smith talking about 73rd Extension, which is also named 73rd Avenue, so you have a street with 2 names, 2 streets with the same name. So you talk about the planning, it's been a couple years, and now we're talking about, at the end of this year, you might have another session. Well, the 73rd, the little 73rd, it is in such rough shape. You've got a major park, and, I have to drive 20 miles an hour on it so I don't wreck my alignment. So then we're talking another couple years where maybe you need to think about putting maybe just a seal coating on it or trying to fix it. The last time you fixed it is the Timberwolves put in a brand new basketball court, and you couldn't have the celebrities coming on that street because it was really bad. So you kind of filled it up and put tar over it, and that lasted for a couple years. So I would really hope that you would think about looking at that street and how it's so unbecoming to the city of Fridley. It's probably the worst street in the city of Fridley that, another 2-3 years we have to drive on that street. So thank you.
Thank you. Can we evaluate that one?
Yeah, we can work with Public Works.
Okay.
We can
Thank
see
you.
what we can do.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, motion to close the public hearing would be in order.
Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
Motion Vessio, second from Cardona. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any comments from council regarding the project or the assessment?
No.
All right, if no additional comments, then a motion will be in order as well.
Move to approve resolution number 2026-86, adopting the assessment for the 2026 street rehabilitation project number ST 2026-01.
Second.
Yeah, I was waiting for you.
Yeah.
That's a
Wow,
motion.
the next one already?
Motion from Evanson, a second from Cardona. Any further discussion?
No.
Call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that carries unanimously as well. Next item then, will we be moving to item 10, public hearing and resolution number 2026-85, approving on-sale liquor license for, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do well with this name. Ms. Finetta, we're going to go with that. Central Bar and Grill located at 1040 Osborne Road. Staff have a presentation. I'm assuming Ms. Condrick, you're down there. Okay.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Tonight I am presenting resolution number 2026-85, approving the on-sale liquor license for Ennui Finetta Central Bar and Grill located at 1040 Osborne Road. Per the city code, on-sale liquor licenses must be approved by the city council. This ensures that the standards for liquor-related establishments are met and regulations are in place to ensure responsible service of alcohol, protects public safety, and maintains order of business operations. In May, staff received an on-sale liquor license application from Ennui Finetta, owner of 1040 Osborne Road. Ms. Finetta would like to operate a restaurant and liquor establishment, Central Bar and Grill, at this location. 1040 Osborne Road is a unique property that includes a restaurant space and an event space. This license application is to cover the restaurant space only. Past owners and occupants have had issues with the property, and liquor licenses have been revoked at this location twice. Ms. Finetta is aware of these issues and is committed to operating her business in accordance with the requirements laid out in City Code. She met with the Development Resource Committee, a committee of staff members with representation from Community Development, Public Safety, the Clerk's Office, and Public Works, and had a discussion regarding the past issues and concerns about the property. Staff reiterated the code requirements. After staff had a chance to meet with Ms. Finetta and discuss the property and concerns, the application went through the review process. The process for reviewing on-sale liquor license applications starts with the clerk's office reviewing the application at intake to ensure all required items were submitted, including appropriate insurance coverage and applicable forms for the state of Minnesota, and that all site plans are complete. A background check and criminal history was performed by the Public Safety Department with no issues. The Community Development Department reviewed site plans for zoning verification, and the building inspector reviewed site plans to ensure the location meets current building codes. The fire marshal completed a fire inspection in June and found the property to be in compliance. The final step in the process is the review by the City Council tonight. As all items were approved in the application review process, staff have found no reason to deny the application. Staff recommend holding the public hearing this evening and then approving resolution number 2026-85, approving on-sale liquor license for Ennui Finetta Central Bar and Grill located at 1040 Osborne Road. Ms. Finetta is present this evening and can answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Condrick. Before we get going with some questions, I have to take a motion to open that public hearing. You guys got to keep me honest here.
Second.
All right, it's a motion from Bolcom, second for Cardona. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it opens the public hearing. All right, does council have any questions they'd like to ask of staff?
Yeah, I guess one question I would have, so I believe the prior restaurant was Continental Restaurant, is that right? We're talking the same
Councilmember Evison, yes, the prior restaurant was Continental. They were leasing the space and have now been revoked and evicted from the space. They are no longer in partnership of any kind.
Got it. So this is a totally separate entity, totally separate operating group. that's
Correct.
coming
Brand
in
new.
and now leasing the space.
Starting from scratch.
Okay, sounds good.
The applicant would like to make any comments. Come on up to the microphone. Do you have anything you'd like to add to this? Anybody like to ask any questions of the applicants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ma'am, could you
Yep.
please, Ms.
Can
Finette,
you
please
come up to the microphone? Thank you.
Good evening, thank you. So, questions?
Good evening. Just maybe, because we all have some concerns, because there's been some history with that building for some years, not even the last owner, but the one before. I'm just wondering if you could kind of go through what your plans are, what you plan on, just, what's your plans for the building? What do you plan? What are your hours going to be? What's your previous experience been?
Okay, I have experience for the restaurant and the other businesses in Minneapolis area, but for Fridley, I bought this place for the event hall and the restaurant, and then now I rented for some people's before, but I don't have any connection with them, just renting, landlord and tenant. So now they make mess even they didn't pay rent, everything. Because of that, I want to start myself, and then with my kids, I'm gonna run because the building is my own building. So that's why I want to start the restaurant over here.
So, I mean, can you tell us a little bit about what you might be serving, your hours, and all
Okay,
those
yeah,
thoughts?
the restaurant usually from 9 o'clock until 10 o'clock, not more than late 10. And then we try to see breakfast and lunch and dinner, but if it is okay, breakfast, we continue. Otherwise, when we see, and then we make it 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock we start. So I think in that location, I don't know, the management or everything, that's why otherwise. The area, it is a good location, and then there is not too much competition, there is not too much everything, so it's okay. And then this is, usually they have commercial buildings in the area. All of them are commercial area. So that's why I try, I'll make it.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Yeah, just to be clear, I'm sorry, do you have experience managing a restaurant that has a liquor license?
I have experience in a restaurant in South Minneapolis.
Did that restaurant have a liquor license?
Hi, I'm her daughter. Can I explain?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so she does have a restaurant previously in South Minneapolis. She also owns properties in South Minneapolis, so she does have managing experience in various fields.
Did any of those prior restaurants have a liquor license?
No.
Okay. Have you ever, even maybe not restaurants you didn't own, any experience working in the hospitality industry where you served liquor, or familiar with the rules and regulations that are involved with that?
I think I know the law, to serving the liquor, everything, we have to check ID, we have to take care of everybody, and then we have to have security, and then, some kind of, protection
She
for
has
the
all the
people.
insurance and
So I have
everything.
insurance too.
She does own a liquor store, so she kind of knows the.
You have owned a liquor store before?
No,
Yeah,
I used to before. I used to run liquor store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I have more experience about liquor, not on sale of sale liquor.
Okay.
Questions?
Mr. Mayor, I just have a follow-up from that. So you understand the liquor to food and how we're very, very serious about that we don't want, we want to have restaurants that serve alcohol and not, so do you understand the
When you do like that, as long as I'm a woman, we have to hire manager. We have to hire manager, and the manager, they will run it too. So,
but ultimately you're responsible.
yeah,
Yes.
that's my responsibility. So I will be there. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make, because sometimes that's happened in the past where there's been some questions about that people that the owners didn't know the difference, and that we're very, very strict about that in our community.
Yes, I know that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
And staff has communicated all of these requirements.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as I stated, our Development Resource Committee had a pretty lengthy discussion. Director of Public Safety was present for that meeting as well, and we really talked through a lot of those parts of the code that are very important.
Okay, thank you. So, and you are aware of the issues that we've had at this site in the past, right?
Yes.
And we
Yes.
really don't want to see any repeats of that. So this is on you. You've got a great opportunity here. You prove yourself, and we're more than happy to continue to have the restaurant and the liquor license in the city. So, you know, we wish you the best of luck too here. So,
For sure. Thank you.
any other
I'm
questions?
going to say, I think it really helps too that you've had some experience in the past, so that helps too.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, yeah, ma'am, good luck. I'm looking forward to this. I can't wait for this place to open back up. I patronized both of the last places, and unfortunately they didn't make it, but this is always great to see somebody trying to revitalize a restaurant like this.
Yeah. Do you have a date of when you might be open officially?
We're waiting for the liquor license.
But what's, there you go. So if you get the liquor license tonight and then, or tomorrow, then you'll open the next day?
No.
Now's the time to advertise when you're gonna be open, because you got all these people here that can come to your restaurant.
There you go.
All right. We have, any further questions here? All right, seeing none, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Take a motion to close the public hearing this time.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion Vesio, second Cardona. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries unanimously. All right, any further comments or discussion regarding the on-sale liquor license? Then a motion would be in order.
Motion to approve resolution number 2026-85, approving on-sale liquor license for Inui Fineta Central Bar and Grill located at 1040 Osborne Road.
Second.
That's a motion from Cardona, second from Evanson. I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that carries unanimously. You will have a liquor license. I believe you can stop by City Hall tomorrow to pick it up.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies. Have a
Yeah.
nice evening. All right. All right, then that brings us up to item number 8, automatic license plate reader ALRP program update. Before we get started here, I'm going to read a statement. Before we begin this agenda item, I want to take a moment to set some context for tonight's discussion. Recent news coverage raised questions about how automated license plate reader data is accessed and shared. And I heard from several of you that you wanted answers. I asked the city manager to have our police division provide a public briefing on the topic. And given the timelines of the concerns, I felt it was important to do that tonight rather than wait. Public Safety Director George is out of town this evening. Deputy Director Patrick Faber is here to present on behalf of the division. His presentation will cover how ALPR program works in Fridley, what we do and do not do with the technology, and the adjustments the division has made to its data sharing practices to support public trust. We are mindful that there are residents here for other, okay, well, we took care of that one, so we're going to move on there. This item is a staff briefing to the City Council. The city will take public comment on this item. If you wish to speak, please come up to the podium and state your name. I will raise your hand and I will call you up one at a time on that. Please sign in on the sheet at the podium so staff can follow up with you after the meeting if you so desire. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Please direct your comments and questions to me as the presiding officer. Staff will not be responding to questions from the public during tonight's meeting. Any questions raised during public comment will be logged, and staff will follow up after the meeting. Deputy Director Faber, the floor is yours.
Mr. Mayor, council members, City Manager Weispohl, thank you for having me here today. Today's presentation is going to be about Flock and the automated license plate reader program that we have in the city of Fridley. The purpose is to provide clarity on our ALPR system within the city of Fridley, what it is, how it works, ALPR timeline, ALPR success in Fridley, review of our data and timeline of program changes, and our transparency page. So what is an ALPR for those of you that don't know? It's an automated license plate reader, a camera that photographs passing vehicles and reads the characters on the license plate. It compares each plate against a list of vehicles tied to active investigations and alerts an officer only when there's a match. It reads plates, not people. It captures the characters on the plate, not the drivers or the occupants. It's fixed and automatic. Cameras run continuously on public roadways, no matter no operator aims them. A lead, not a verdict. So it provides us leads. It doesn't provide us a verdict. When there's a match and a hit, we receive it and we run it through our database to confirm that the hit is accurate. It's not a determination on its own. How ALPRs capture and process data. A fixed camera photographs a passing vehicle and reads the license plate characters. It compares those license plates and check and cross-reference against an active hot list of vehicles tied to active investigations. It alerts or deletes. A match alert sends to an officer. Anything not on the hot list is retained for 30 days and then deleted. So the BCA hot list, what is a hot list? Fridley hot list is maintained by the state through the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, as some of you guys know as the Minnesota BCA. The city does not build or edit that hot list. What the hot list reflects are stolen vehicles, active warrants, missing persons, active investigations, and cops alerts. These categories are set by the state, not the city of Fridley, and cannot be added or changed to the list. The city cannot make those changes. Fridley APLR system. What it does, it reads license plates and characters on public roadways. It flags plates that match a BCA maintained hot list, creates a searchable log record of each query, supports active criminal investigations. What it does not do, no facial recognition of any kind, no direct access to criminal justice database, does not identify vehicle occupants, does not track individuals in real time without a warrant, does not directly share access or information directly to ICE or DHS, does not control what other agencies do with the network access or information. So the ALPR history on ALPRs. ALPRs were invented in 1976 in the United Kingdom. In 1981, the camera started being used in the United Kingdom. In 1988, it started to arrive in the United States and mainly used at border crossings in the 90s. In the mid-2000s, early to mid-2000s and through the 2010s, most funding sources for local police agencies for ALPRs came through federal grants approved by the federal government. In 2016, at least 2/3 of larger United States police agencies are using this technology. The Anoka County Auto Theft Task Force and the JLEC. So in 2009, Fridley and the Anoka County agencies began using ALPR through the Anoka County Auto Theft Task Force in cooperation with the Anoka County JLEC. October of 2023, Fridley moved to the Flock system platform. The Anoka County Joint Law Enforcement Council is a collaborative unit of government formed in 1970 and is the only one of its kind in Minnesota. Member agencies pool resources to fund shared public safety efforts. No single city could run efficiently on their own. Membership includes the county sheriff and attorney, county commissioners, and city elected officials, including the agencies in the surrounding county. The Anoka County Auto Theft Task Force and how it's funded is a multi-jurisdictional task force built to fight vehicle theft that crosses city lines. It is funded by the Minnesota Automobile Theft Prevention Program, which is competitive and two-year grant. It was a two-year grant created in 1996 by the state. The grant program is administered by the state of Minnesota and specifically by the BCA as of 2025. The city of Fridley has 8 ALPR cameras that were purchased with these grant funds. The equipment is not taxpayer expenses through the city of Fridley. It's through state funds and through the BCA. We manage the Anoka County Auto Theft Task Force for all of Anoka County. Fridley Flock program, so how the program is funded, all 8 Fridley cameras are funded through the Anoka County Auto Theft Task Force grant and approved to us by the state of Minnesota and the BCA. The current locations that are published on the BCA website and our current location for all of our 8 flock cameras are 5600 block East River Road, 700 block of 53rd Avenue, 5800 block of Central Avenue, 900 block of Westmore Lake Drive. There's 3 at the 200 block of 57th Avenue and 1 at the 8300 block of East River Road. As many of you guys know, Fridley is a first-tier suburb. We have a lot of traffic flowing through our city. We have one of the busiest interstates and bridges over the Mississippi River. Most of the traffic comes through University, East River Road, Highway 65, and 694, and that's why we chose those locations. If any private property in the city of Fridley that has a flock camera or LPR system, it is their own network, their own data, and they can choose to share their network with anyone they want to, including us. How Fridley uses ALPR. Auto theft is the primary purpose because it's affiliated with the Anoka County Auto Theft Task Force, but that's not the only reason why we use it. Fridley uses ALPR for a range of investigations, including but not limited to stolen vehicle recovery, armed robbery investigations, homicide investigations, missing person searches, child abduction, Amber Alert response, hit and run investigations, assaults, and drug trafficking investigations. Some of our Fridley ALPR successes, most recently, a Highway 65 shooting where we were able to locate the suspects, a nationwide robbery ring where one of our banks fell victim of being a robbery or being a victim of a robbery at their location, and we were able to help solve the nationwide robbery ring through our flock system. Child kidnapping case where we were able to rescue 2 children through a kidnapping and make 2 arrests. Aggravated assault case charged through suspect ID. 200 pounds of methamphetamine seized in 2026. Missing and endangered juvenile in 2026. And a domestic assault identification and arrest in 2026. There's many other notable stories, but these were the ones we wanted to list. So network access. So the city of Fridley shares its network with other law enforcement agencies. The city of Fridley is one network with multiple cameras. So every city that has a flock system, they are considered a network. Approximately 75% of arrests in the city of Fridley and criminal activity in the Fridley involve people who do not live in the city of Fridley. Crime crosses city boundaries. Missing and exploited people and children frequently travel across city borders. Offenders and stolen vehicles move between cities. Solving Fridley cases often depends on network data from neighboring agencies. How the flock network sharing model works. What is a flock network? A network is an organization, a police department, a city, or private property owner that operates one or more ALPR flock cameras. A single network can include several cameras, and those cameras may be publicly owned, like Fridley's, or privately owned, like a private owner or business or apartment complex. Each network owns its own data and controls who allows their access to that data. How sharing within the network works. Sharing means granting access, not sending data. When Fridley shares, partner agencies can search Fridley camera data through the network. Fridley does not transmit it or hand over any data. Under Flock's contract with the state, every search is recorded in an inquiry audit log. When one network is granted access to another, the host does not get a real-time alert each time the network is searched, but every search is logged and can be reviewed in an audit record. This is an example of Fridley network sharing map. So all the green dots are agencies that share their network with us. The dots show ALPR cameras, however, it's their network sharing with us. The rules that govern every search. Classified as private data, ALPR data is classified as private under Minnesota state law and is not public. Every search requires a written reason entered at the time of the query. No justification, they don't get searched. Each query records the user, timestamp, and stated reason. Per our general order 429, Fridley written ALPR policy sets permitted uses and retention for all of our staff and access for supervisory review. Reading the query data. Before February 2026 restriction, Fridley's network was open to out-of-state agencies. A single search usually sweeps hundreds or thousands of networks at once. A search reaching our network is rarely looked at Fridley alone. So when an outside agency, even out of state, searches our network, they're usually searching multiple, if not hundreds or thousands of networks at once. A lot of our searches in early 2026 and 2025, we were one of 5,000, one of 2,000 searches all at once in that network. As you see in the graph, December 2025, total searches within our network was 392,000 searches into our network. 244 of them were immigration related. Reason why we have Grant County, Indiana Sheriff's Offices in there is because out of that 244, 235 of those searches in one day was from Grant County. There was 0 searches in December of 2025 from Minnesota. January 2026, there was 494,000 searches into our network. 107 of them were immigration related. Grant County was 71 of those 107. The remaining were other agencies. 11 of them were from Minnesota searches. February 2026, after we restricted outside entities from searching, out-of-state entities from searching our network, we went down to 22,000 searches approximately, 0 immigration-related searches. Grant County no longer had access to our network, and 0 from Minnesota. March 2026, we had approximately 7,500 searches into our network, 0 immigration-related searches, 0 from Grant County, and 0 from Minnesota related to immigration. If you see on the disclaimer on the bottom, it might be difficult to read. Just a comparison, so December of 2025, there was approximately 392,000 searches into our network. In December of 2024, there was approximately 495,000 searches into our network. January of 2026, there was approximately 494,000 searches into our network. And as of January of 2025, there was 568,000 searches into our network. You can imagine, since our network at that time was open to outside agencies out of the state of Minnesota, we have 50 states in the United States, so that means agencies across the United States had access to our network that could search, and that's why those numbers were so high. Once we restricted that, that's why our numbers dropped immensely. Again, when they're searching our network, they search all networks. So when they go in the queue and flock, they don't select one agency. They can, but they usually don't. They just hit all networks. And when they hit all networks, that means that opens the access to every single network that shares access to with them, and they can search at one time for whatever they're searching for. Auto theft, homicide, you name it, they can search it. So across all those networks, we might be one of 2,500 searches in that one single search. So timelines of actions taken. In 2009, Fridley begins using ALPR through the Anoka County Auto Theft Task Force and the Anoka County JLEC. In October 2023, Fridley transitions to the Flock Safety ALPR system with the Anoka County Auto Theft Task Force. In November of 2024, an independent biannual audit by Code 4 Group, Fridley found in full compliance per Minnesota state statute. July of 2025, Minnesota Department of Administration Data Practice Office confirms the audit findings to be accurate. January 27th, 2026, a Flock upgrade enabled disabling immigration searches. Director George activates it the same day, blocking and flagging immigration-related searches of Fridley data. February 3rd, 2026, data sharing restricted to Minnesota law enforcement only, out-of-state access ended. We found that that was the best time to do it. Given the January 27th decision, we decided to make 2 decisions at the same time there within a short period of time. June 2026 ALPR webpage, including audit and program information. So we posted a web page on our city website where you can learn about our ALPR system and our other information regarding the Flock system. July 2026, the city publishes 3 years of ALPR data, transparency page updated and disabled network access to agencies with a 287G agreement. That means we disabled in July of 2026, after learning what we found out last week, as many of you guys learned, we disabled any county in the state of Minnesota with a 287G agreement. We disabled their network access to our system. So what changed and why? Prior to February 26, our network was open to out-of-state law enforcement agencies and was searched heavily, as you guys can tell. Some of that access was used for immigration-related searches, a purpose the program was never meant to serve. What changed? January 27, 2026, the city disabled immigration-related searches. February 3rd, 2026, the city disabled network access to out-of-state law enforcement agencies. July 20th, 2026, the city disabled network access to any agency with a 287G agreement. Since January 27th, there was an error on there. I want to note, since January 27th, there is no record of the city network being searched from out of state or immigration-related purposes. For January 27th, it was, I'll refer back to the timeline, it was related to immigration searches. And then the typo was I did not add February 3rd to that. So as of February 3rd, we did not allow out-of-state access to our network. Transparency page. So we have an ALPR and drone information page that you can search on our city website. It's a dedicated website with regulations, audit, and program information. There's a website link right there if you need it. 3 years of query data published proactively. So we published 3 years of our data on that transparency page. There's an ask question form monitored by our police department, and we do biannual audits. Our audits were published on a fixed schedule. Flock Transparency Portal, that's on that page as well. A public-friendly specific portal updated continuously by Flock in our system. Camera locations on the BCA website, the network's footprint is published by the state of Minnesota. Thank you, Mayor, council members, and City Manager Weisful.
All right, thank you, Deputy Director Faber, for the presentation. So moving forward now, this is what I'm sure most of you came here for. At this point, we typically open up this as comments to the council. We're going to forgo that this evening and go direct to comments and that. And as I stated earlier, we will record the comments. There's not going to be the back and forth dialogue on this. We are gathering information at this time, and we can go ahead and start. And I would ask everybody to be respectful of each other and of council, and we will be respectful of you, and we can have a good, clean dialogue here this evening. So with that being said, who would like to? Natividad, come on up and please introduce yourself.
My name is Natividad Seefeld. Thank you for allowing this moment for us, Mr. Mayor and council members. Given that there was a story in the Star Tribune, it would be great if you could step up and bring your story to the Star Tribune and make it known to everyone other than just the folks that are here in the room. I've been a 40-year resident of Fridley. My children were raised here when they were 2, 5, and 4, and went to all the schools that are available in Fridley. During the surge, it was the most fearful thing I have ever seen and had to endure in my entire life. I was born in East Los Angeles. I am a U.S. citizen. I'm Mexican, Spanish, and Native American Indian, and it doesn't matter who you are or what color your skin is. During the surge, everyone became a target. Our community is 86 families strong. We live in a small manufactured home community that is resident-owned, so the streets below us belong to us. They're private. The families across the street are over 300 plus, and they are owned by a company outside. We took the step to help them as much as we possibly could, as well as them helping us. And to all the folks who are here today and who are not able to attend, that helped us stay safe, get to the doctor, get to school, get groceries. We applaud them for stepping up and taking the opportunity to keep us as safe as possible. If you did not have to face a 6-foot-plus male with guns on either side and 7+ more cars, you cannot understand what it feels like. When they came to our community and I honked the horn, which is my right to do, to get my community ready to be on lockdown, as well as the community across the street with our private chats, we were in fear of what could happen. Even though I could see them hiding behind our rental garage space, they came after me. I tried to back up. I stopped. I knew that I was going nowhere. And they ran into my car and did $4,100 worth of damage. I rolled all my windows down because I knew that it was an opportunity for them to break them. They screamed at me to get out of my car. I said, absolutely, no problem. They wanted my ID. They walked me to my house to get my ID. I asked them to please stay away from my home because I had a dog that would attack them. We have 3 minutes?
3 seconds.
3 seconds.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Well, stop talking, Mr. Mayor. Come on now. I want you to know that I understand the tools in the toolbox, but go forward and tell the story on your end of how important that you took an extra step to make us safe, because right now we don't believe you. I could say that I believe you because you kept us safe, but not everyone believes you right now. A story is a story any way you look at it. So please step up, tell your story, let us know for real, and take down the camera that is on the Corner Friendly Chevrolet. I don't care who owns it or who is leasing it or renting it. My families are in fear right now because that camera is the majority of our community versus the 2 entranceways that they're claiming to take care of. Lock it up, use your own cameras, of which they have, and make us safe. Right now, we're in a panic, and I'm asking you to please do something.
Please come up and identify yourself.
Thank you, Mayor Oswald, members of the council. My name is Aaron Clems. I live on Hillcrest Drive in Fridley. And I was in this room on February 9th when Public Safety Director George spoke to the council and gave an update in response to community concerns about immigration enforcement. And in that presentation, he stated, quote, outside of data requests governed by the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act, we do not share records with federal authorities. None of our flock ALPR data is shared with federal agencies or anyone outside of Minnesota. The presentation that Mr. Faber just offered shows that that's not true. We knew that in January and December that these searches were being done both by federal agencies but also by proxies that were using other agencies' access to get that data. Now, on February 9th, when Mr. George made that statement, it was true. But it was obviously missing context and important information that the public should have known at that time. And quite frankly, I think would have generated goodwill for the city to know that we were taking action as soon as possible to address the use of immigration searches inside of the ALPR data, as well as cutting off agencies outside of the state who might be using it. And I've expressed that to this council. I've expressed that to City Manager Weisapol. I've expressed that to Public Safety Director George, who called me today, because I truly believe that when the government is responsive to people's needs and their concerns, it gains goodwill and trust. These tools, these ALPR tools, are powerful tools. They're powerful tools for law enforcement to solve crime, but they can also be powerful tools to surveil. And we live in a time right now where we have real concern about that. We know that the federal government is using all of the tools in its toolbox to try to crush dissent and to fight its political opponents. It's named its political opponents terrorists. And that's not hyperbole. I'm not making that up. That is literally what's being said right now. And so it is disappointing to me that we are standing here today, 6 months later, learning about the changes that were good changes made to this ALPR program at the time through a newspaper article. The presentation that Mr. Faber just gave is excellent information. It answers a lot of questions that I personally have. And it's disappointing to me that it took this to get that level of responsiveness from the city. And so the first thing I think you should do is apologize, honestly. I think the citizens deserve an apology, the residents of the city, because at the time when Mr. George spoke to the council and to the public, a room almost as full as it is today, he made it seem as though this data could never or never was to be used for those purposes. And I think that's, in retrospect, false. And it creates a corrosive environment where there's less trust between law enforcement and the public. And we need the trust between law enforcement and the public for them to do their job. So please take a good, hard listen today. And I think my final ask is, let's actually do a real investigation about how this data was used during Operation Metro Search. The public deserves to know whether those searches were connected to actual enforcement actions inside of the city of Fridley. And the data today, although it's instructive and helpful, does not answer that question. And in the meantime, I think you should shut the cameras off. I think you should shut the cameras off, investigate what happened, and once we know what happened, make a decision about what to do with the program moving forward. Thank you very much.
Hold on. I'll bring up the next person.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Just to raise hands. Come on, so, yeah.
I'm Joe Capra. I live on Rice Creek Terrace. Whether it's AL, AI, a cell phone, a bank account, you can't trust anyone nowadays. And I don't know why we should have to trust this. It leaves a lot to be desired for residents of Fridley. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Amy Paddock. I've been a resident of Fridley for 20 plus years. I do have some IT background and in large corporation. I'm going to address some things I don't know that he can answer right now, but I'm going to bring them up, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, we'll take the comments. So.
I would like to know who has access to the data besides Fridley, not other, the name of the company that provides, do we subscribe to them and they also have data? I need that, I would like that answered. And the other things that concern me is we've had a lot of problems with not just immigration, but predator against women and young children. And this bothers me when I see, and I am a supporter, and I like to look at the law enforcement as helpful, but even within our own communities and our own law enforcement, we do have people who don't always follow what they should, and that has already been proven across the United States. And I am concerned, and not just for Fridley, but the communities around us, we're all taking action. We're all concerned about these things. We are concerned that there's no way to gauge if there's some kind of safe way to guard against that kind of usage of the flock, not just flock cameras. There are other things that are being used within our systems that are harmful. And we're trying to be safe and make sure our officers have ways to help. And then at the same time, it looks like we're being harmed by the same things that are supposed to be helpful. And I've seen, I've read, I've been keeping track of this. It's not just flock. There are other things that are being used that I am concerned about. And I'd like to know more about what else Fridley uses to help that could be harmful, and what kind of things Fridley is doing to put some kind of thing in place to help prevent harm being done from the other side.
30 seconds.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Do
Thank
you
you.
make sure that you get your name on the sign-in list
Yeah.
with contact information so we can get back to you?
Oh, one more thing. The license plate reader, a lot of them will do both. Will read your license plate, whether it's right or wrong, but it'll also take also has the capacity of taking more than just your license plate. Okay?
Thank you. Sir, come on up. You're okay, go ahead and sign in, yep.
I'm Daniel Hartman. I live in Ward 2 in Fridley. I've not been a resident of Fridley for as long as many of you, but like many of you, I came here to build a life, a future with my family. It's caused me to think a lot about the future, about the world we will be building for our children. I want that world to be one where we trust one another. A world where newcomers to the community are greeted with open arms and kindness. Flock is not that. Where we could be spending our money uniting our community and building it into something for everyone to trust in, we instead send it to unproven tech oligarchs to invade and spy on our communities. That spying is not without consequence. When the federal invaders arrived to terrorize our state in the name of scams, lawlessness, and racism, that very network was used to track and kidnap our neighbors, as we know. Our children will look back on this moment with revulsion, nauseated by the cowardice that led us to turn our guns inward, nauseated by the squandering of our natural resources to build the data center and surveillance infrastructure, a monument to fear, voyeurism, and delusion. We must not forget this is much bigger than a few cameras spying creepily on civilians. The surveillance state cannot exist without data centers. Every second these cameras are running is another second spent sucking the life out of our planet. You keep this up, and we're staring down more than a future without privacy. We are staring down the destruction of our future in entirety. Does it comfort you to know that when the last drop of water is drained, when the weather gets so hot that your sweat can no longer keep you alive, and when electricity is so expensive that we can no longer afford to cool our homes, there will still be cameras pointing at the people that frighten you? If my words offend you, remember that I warned you months ago in this very room. You have had adequate time to change course and be the responsible adults you were elected to be. If you cannot see this situation for what it is, then you should not be anywhere near a position of power. We are better than this. Spend our money on something the community would actually benefit from. We should be enjoying our parks together and making friends, not living in fear of one another. I ask that you disarm these cameras.
Thank you, Mayor Ostwald, members of the City Council. My name is Thomas Evanstad, and I'm currently living in Brooklyn Park. Brooklyn Park recently shut down their cameras on the Flock system amid privacy concerns. And I'm here to testify to what I have witnessed, being somebody who has been at Whipple. I've been inside of Whipple. One of my first experiences was standing there at the fence and watching a young girl coming out. She was between 13 and probably 16. They came up, put blankets around her, the helpers, and then as she was walking past me, I heard the man with the whatever it is, the information on her, say her name. And so I said, "Erica, we're with you." And she turned and looked at me. And she was deeply traumatized. This was a child, this was a U.S. citizen. And then I'll remind everybody, even though it's tragic and no one needs to be reminded, after the killing of Renee Good, then I'm sure we have all seen how Alex Preddy was disarmed. And he was executed like a rabid dog in our street. So the narrative from the federal government, if they would have come out immediately and said, "Hey, we are on top of this, we're investigating this, these people have been arrested." Instead, they blamed the victim, didn't they? They said that Preddy was coming toward them armed. So the narratives coming out of whether it's state law enforcement or it's federal law enforcement, they can absolutely not be trusted. And as far as the federal government, we know that we can't trust them. I don't have any experience with the Fridley police, other than I can say this. If you want to know how much we can trust the police here in Minnesota, in general, and officer, this is not intended with any disrespect to you or the Fridley Police. I urge you, everybody in this room and anybody who sees this, go to YouTube and search Gary C., middle initial, K-O, C-A-Y-O, issues threat. That's the search, Gary C. K-O, issues threat. He was Minnesota's top cop for 14 straight years, meaning he was the president of the Minnesota Fraternal Order of Police. Our police officers voted him as our gold standard in law enforcement. So if you want to know, can we trust the police? And even if we can trust the police, how can we not trust that the police's firewalls are not enough where a hacker from the government or the government is going to get past the police? So I have 27 years of experience and evidence saying that we cannot trust the Minnesota police. Thank you, 30 seconds. I'm running for governor against Amy Klobuchar as a Democrat, not to plug the campaign. This is about the cameras. Thank you, the flock cameras. And I am vehemently against the police state that I can trace back as a lifelong Minnesota resident. I'm 61, practically to Amy Klobuchar 30 years ago as Hennepin County Attorney. Talked to Marvin Haynes, talked to Brian Hooper. These people were in prison. Hooper, 27 years before he was exonerated. So I'm against the security state, and I'm requesting what Brooklyn Park did and end this surveillance of the flock cameras, please. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments.
Good evening. My name is Courtney Rathke. I live in the Sylvan Hills neighborhood, and I am here tonight because I support having flock cameras in our community. My husband and I have supported the Fridley community by volunteering our time and resources for nearly 25 years. As grandparents of biracial children, we want them to grow up in a community where every family feels safe going to parks, attending school events, riding bikes, and walking through their neighborhoods. We recognize that no single tool can prevent crime, but we cannot reject technology that has helped law enforcement identify suspects, recover stolen vehicles, locate missing people, and solve serious crimes. I understand there are concerns about privacy and how the information gathered will be used. Those concerns deserve to be heard, taken seriously, and addressed through clear policies, oversight, and accountability. I trust our city's law enforcement to use those cameras responsibly and in service of public safety, and I believe they have put in place appropriate safeguards to provide the accountability that our community expects. Flock cameras do not replace police work. They do not determine who has committed a crime, nor do they remove the need for human judgment, policy, and oversight. They simply provide objective information that can help investigators after a crime has been committed. Every decision the council makes involves competing interests. I ask you to give meaningful weight to the public safety benefits these cameras can provide and to the peace of mind they offer families throughout our community. Our city has a responsibility to use every reasonable, lawful tool available to improve public safety while maintaining appropriate oversight and accountability. I believe what Deputy Director Faber has presented today meets that standard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rathke. Young man in the back here, I believe you're AJ, aren't you?
Good evening, Mayor and the council members, and thank you everyone for coming out here. My name is Abdullahi Jama, and I'm a candidate running for Fridley City Council and also a Ward 1 resident. During Metro Surge, Fridley residents filled these exact seats, many who were scared. We wanted answers, and we asked you guys one question, which was, is our data being shared with federal agencies? We were told no. Last week, the Minnesota Star Tribune answered that question indifferently. The city's own data shows that before February 2026, Fridley's network was open to out-of-state agencies. In December 2025 alone, the Grant County, Indiana Sheriff ran the 235 immigration searches against Fridley's data in a single day. After national media coverage, the city restricted access and the numbers dropped to 0. But residents were never told that the city data was being shared to other agencies. We don't need a Star Tribune investigation to get to the truth. Our team has knocked over thousands of doors across Fridley. Many families who changed their daily routines during Metro Surge, parents who stopped driving certain routes, neighbors who stopped going to the grocery store because they were scared they were going to get tracked. That fear is real. We understand that Fridley moved to Flock in October 2023 through the Anoka County JLEC for auto theft protection. We respect that work, but the same platform became the same backdoor for civil immigration enforcement that our community never consented to. The public trust has been broken. We are urging this council and our state officials to take action and ban Flock cameras, audit every search against Fridley's data, and the business grants, opt out of the Anoka County drone program. We believe that Fridley residents deserve to have a voice at the table, and you guys should listen to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adrian.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council and staff. Richard Coleman, I live on River Edgeway, been in this community for over 30 years. And I speak in favor of the Flock cameras. My church was delivering food weekly to your community and others. And yeah, and we saw how traumatic that was. And we don't want that. I don't want that. So the restrictions being put on the cameras now that the response is very, I think, well accepted by the community and by myself. So thank you for taking those actions. And I just want to say that, but from a public safety standpoint, this can help our officers solve crimes, especially violent crimes. We don't need victims going without justice. We need the solutions to help people if they're, whether, I know the Wetterlings would have loved if they could have had something like this back then. That wasn't there. So many crimes could be solved. And but with the controls that are being put in place, not only the controls that have been put in place, but the auditing and the web page so we can get continuing updates and continuing information, that was a real forethought, I think, being put in place. So thank you for that action and for how that's being done. And I just look forward to this Fridley being a very vibrant community going forward, and one that we can find common ground, and just make sure that what the people want are being done. Nobody has a crystal ball. I don't think it's fair to say, how did you not know this was going to happen? That's not possible. So that's not a fair point to say searches happened in December, January, and we didn't, as soon as you realized, we made the change. So thank you for that. So just thank you again for your time, for the time tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. John?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Council. I'm John Brillhart. I live at 830 Westmoreland Drive. I think the main thing I want to address here is the fact that the city has been behind the 8 ball whenever it comes to both addressing the issues with Flock cameras and in particular the communication. We talked a little bit about the Flock Transparency Portal. The city of Fridley was the last one to have a Flock Transparency Portal amongst its neighboring communities. I came up and sat at this very podium and asked you guys about a Flock Transparency Portal back in June when the city did not have one. Actually, I think it was late May. 1 week later, I received an email from Chief George talking about announcing the Transparency Portal as well as the webpage. I don't know if I had anything to do with that, but that's certainly interesting timing. And again, when you compare it to neighboring communities, Fridley's last action on its on Flock cameras in general post-search. Columbia Heights eliminated its Flock camera program. Brooklyn Park eliminated its Flock camera program and is looking at Taxon. The city of New Brighton modified its contract with Flock cameras back in May to specifically prohibit Homeland Security and to require Flock to inform the city if Homeland Security did hit its cameras and is aware of it in any way. Fridley needs to be ahead of the 8 ball in communication and policy and making sure that if we continue the flock camera program, that the public knows what's happening with it when we make decisions. And we can't say that there won't be mistakes with flock going forward. This is a new thing that we have with fixed ALPRs and the type of setup that flock has. We can't simply say, pretend they didn't exist. Fridley has to proactively communicate with the public when there are changes made, when there are mistakes made, and so that the public understands and trusts. Fundamentally, the theme here from the very get-go when we've talked about it is trust. There has not been trust because the city has not been effective in communicating what's the changes, and it has not been ahead of the 8 ball when it has made mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Hello, my name is Brianna Kochka, and I'm here today to demand Fridley City Council members, the mayor, and law enforcement take seriously the concerns of Fridley and the broader Anoka County residents have about automatic license plate readers, or ALPRs, drones as first responders, and more significantly, your current contract with Flock Safety. Surveillance does not equal safety. According to the ACLU, less than 1% of vehicles tracked by ALPRs are not connected to any crime or wrongdoing. We have also seen these mass surveillance tools have been misused by CBP and ICE, and we know on the record, as we've all talked about tonight per last week's Star Trib reporting, that the Mille Lacs County Sheriff's Office searched flock camera data collected in Fridley for civil immigration purposes as part of an agreement to conduct immigration enforcement alongside ICE. That happened here on these cameras funded by this city on your watch. The ACLU of Minnesota has testified to state lawmakers that the amount of data flowing through Flock's networks represents broad, open-ended access to Minnesota's data that is prohibited by the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act, the MNGDPA. They've also documented that a single Minnesota department with 10 cameras received over 11,000 searches from police departments around the country in just 30 days. This is not the narrow local tool residents were promised. This is where I need Fridley to understand its exposure. Minnesota's ALPR statute 13.824 and 626.8472 requires a written use policy, strict data retention limits, and logging of every search. When Fridley's data is shared into nationwide networks and pulled by outside agencies for immigration enforcement without a warrant, the city is not just bending its own policy, it's opening the door to civil liability under state law for unauthorized disclosure of private data. Every unlawful search run against Fridley's cameras is a potential claim under the MGDPA, and every claim is paid for by the taxpayers, not by Flock Safety. Legislators are already responding. Multiple bills this session, including one requiring a warrant for out-of-state ALPR access, exist because cities like Fridley failed to self-police.
30 seconds.
Thank you. Fridley doesn't need to wait for a lawsuit, a settlement, or a headline to act. The legal exposure is already here, and it grows every day. This contract continues. Fridley's Flock data shows that over 73% of out-of-state searches were not in compliance with the state law. Because of this and all of the previous mentioned facts, I'm asking the council to cancel your Flock safety contract, which is up for renewal, and in the coming months, and conduct a full public audit and build back public trust. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, City Council, Mayor. I want to bring my voice to this discussion and just say I do support our police. I feel like we wouldn't hire them if they were unethical or dishonest.
You say your name,
However,
please.
that can...
Name?
Oh, my name. Sorry. Julie Houle. I live in Ward 2. So anyway, I just feel like there is a lot of discussion about the immigration concerns, which it sounds like we've addressed. However, I had a couple of concerns about some of the things that were happening, like down in Georgia, where police access the system to follow their girlfriend or, harass people. And that is a concern of mine. However, I think I would like to understand what preventive control, I'm an internal control expert, that's what I do, what preventive control we have in place that the police can make sure that officers are not misusing the system in a way to track people they want to track versus looking for people that have criminal records, that have a crime, that an open crime is in place, like looking for an abducted child or something like that. Because I would want that. If my child was abducted, I would want the police to use every freaking tool they could use to find my kid. And so if this system gives us the ability to find some of these missing children or stop a crime, I'm all for it. But I do think there needs to be controls in place to ensure that it's not misused. And maybe that could be, having an independent auditor come in and look at the process and see how, officers sign in, sign out, however that's done to make sure that you can't misuse the process. The other thing is I just want to mention is that we're surveilled everywhere. It is not just the city. It is every Ring camera that is on on people's houses. Well, a lot of people have access.
Have some respect, let her please talk.
And I would say, that data is going into the cloud. It goes into Apple, or wherever it's going, it can be tapped. And I'm not lying here, because we've seen large SEC companies lose data to hackers when it comes to just little things like a camera. So I just want to mention that this isn't new. We just got to put, I think, controls in place to make sure that negative things don't happen. That's it.
Thank you very much. Ma'am, right there on the end. Yep. No, you, right there. I don't know everybody's name, so.
Good evening. My name's Alice Francis. I live at the 6800 block of Washington Street Northeast. During the February 9th City Council meeting, Director George gave a monologue in which he stated city government is ultimately accountable to the residents. As a resident, I'm here today to voice my displeasure with your response to Operation Metro Surge and demand accountability and response to the July 20th Star Tribune article highlighting access to data from ALPR cameras in our community. On January 26th, dozens of residents packed this chamber, pleading with the council to take action as our friends, neighbors, and schools were terrorized by ICE. What followed was ongoing lip service, assuring residents that you heard us and everyone is valued, while turfing any accountability to state and federal agencies. I understand the role and scope of city government, but your lack of action to reassure residents was evident in your failure to join other neighboring communities in the Cities for Safe and Stable Communities Coalition, lack of public support of the amicus brief in the federal lawsuit against Metro Surge, zero stance in supporting an eviction moratorium, and avoidance of holding public meetings to answer questions and hear concerns beyond open forums at city council meetings. In fact, during the 722 League of Women Voters candidate forums, both Mr. Cardona and Mr. Evanson justified the lack of response by stating it was important not to create a false sense of security. Mr. Evanson even went on to allude that the killings at the hands of ICE during Operation Metro Surge was a result of incited violence on the part of Minneapolis protesters, and suggested that those of us speaking out and pushing for change are radical activists. We are and were all well aware that ICE does not play by the rules and would likely ignore action put in place. What the community was asking for was support and to hear that you are with us. Instead, while neighbors and clergy members guarded schools and protected our communities, your silence was deafening. Statements were released by the council and Director George on January 23rd regarding immigration enforcement and Fridley's roles in such activities. Director George's statement reads, and I quote, "Outside of data requests governed by the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act, we do not share records with federal authorities. Minnesota Statute Section 13.824 Subdivision 7B states access to ALPR data must be based on a reasonable suspicion that the data are pertinent to an active criminal investigation. Access must include a record of the factual basis for the access and associated case numbers, complaints, or incidents. According to the Star Tribune article, we know 390,000 times in December that data was accessed. What were the recorded factual basis for access related to active criminal investigations that warranted that access?
Time's
and why
up,
was
please.
this information withheld from the community while simultaneously releasing a statement that the city would not release data?" I definitely have more to say, so I will put my name down. You can contact me.
Thank you very much. We will respect that. Sir,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Michael Yost. I live in Ward 1. I'm here today to call for an end to Fridley's contract with Flock. I'm glad and appreciative of the steps taken so far. The progress that I heard in the presentation earlier was, very, very well received. The problem is that the devil is in the details with these cameras. Even the presentation acknowledged, and I'm going to quote specifically here, quote, "does not control what other agencies do with network access information." Quote, "you need a written justification." This is not a warrant. We live in the United States. The presentation said that this camera data is private data. If it were in fact private data, you would require a warrant to search it, not a written justification. We live in the United States. We still have a Fourth Amendment. I'd ask that we take it seriously. I want to know what accountability exists for these written justifications. Is city staff, following up with every search that's made of Flock data in Fridley's cameras? Is there an audit being planned to follow up, or can a partnering agency simply assert, well, this is a person that's wanted in a criminal investigation, and we need access to the cameras? I'm really glad that our, city staff and our police agency are accountable to us as residents. The issue here is that Flock itself is not accountable to us. It is not accountable to the people of this city. Partnering agencies are not accountable to the people of this city. We need safeguards, and the only safeguard that will permanently address this issue is ending the contract. You can announce all the reforms you want, but if there are loopholes built into the reforms where a partner agency in Minnesota, one that happens to be friendly with ICE that maybe doesn't have a 287G agreement, if they set up an account of someone fake, they can access our data. That's how easy it is. That is exactly the scenario that was outlined in the Star Tribune article. So, I don't want to impugn the motives of the city staff or, the police officers that serve Fridley. I'm glad that we have good staff, but other agencies are not accountable to us. And once that data is in servers, on Flock's servers, you don't have control of it anymore. Those other servers are not accountable to us. I also wanted to point, someone earlier brought up the case of someone using Flock data to stalk people. I wanted to point you to an April Institute of Justice study, which found that there were 28 cases they found of
30 seconds.
People using Flock data to stalk romantic interests, partners, exes, even total strangers. This count is almost certainly a dramatic undercount. These are just the cases we know about. So it's not enough to just announce reforms. You can't reform Flock. It's not possible. So I'm asking you to do the right thing. Follow Columbia Heights in the contract. Let's get our city out of the business of mass surveillance.
Thank you.
My name is Roland Peterson. I've been a Fridley resident for 54 years. So I think I have a pretty good idea of what this city is all about. And I really want to thank you for the kind of things that you're doing. And I really would be in support of the camera situation and how you're managing it. We need that kind of security. And I would really encourage you. I had a granddaughter that was a Minneapolis police officer for 13 years. And it was really she loved it. She was in the 4th precinct, except that when anything happened, wonderful residents came and spit at her and called them all kinds of names. We don't need that kind of thing. And of course, the Minneapolis police chief said, well, we can't support our officers. Well, I hope that you know that we want to support you and want to support what you're doing. And I really would encourage that. And all of the things that I think are happening, we can probably thank the governor and the mayor of Minneapolis for putting us in this mess. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. All right, Jonathan, you can come on up here. Hey, take a real quick, who else wants to talk here this evening? I may need to take a 5-minute break here at some point because getting a little uncomfortable here, sorry. Okay, please state your name.
Jonathan Raylander, thank you, Mayor, City Council, staff. I'm not going to repeat everything that's already been said. There's been a lot of good points already made. What I will say is something that hasn't come up yet is that our data, our public data, our private data. Now, there's been the argument that when we walk outside our door, we are putting ourselves in the public sphere and that we are able to have our data collected. There is a Supreme Court case right now, Eldridge versus Flock, that disproves that and has proven law. We do not give up our right to privacy simply by walking on a public street, driving down a public road. People talk about our cameras and our phones. The thing is, you can leave your phone at home. These cameras can't be turned off. And now we're talking about adding drones to a situation that is going to only intensify it. When we're talking about our privacy, when we're talking about giving up something, giving another tool to an entity that has used it and shown that it's willing to abuse it beyond the parameters of its mission already. Two things can be true. The good things that come out of these cameras is a real thing. And we've seen the success stories, and those are great. But we've also seen what happened during the surge, and we've also seen what's happening in other parts of the country right now. Once ICE got its money again, the activity ramped up again. And they don't care about being in the news anymore, and we've seen proof of that with 2 killings within a week. Now, I don't want one of those to be one of our community members. And when we're giving another tool to an entity that has already shown that it's willing to terrorize our community, regardless of what our status is, they don't give a damn about our paperwork. They throw it on the snow when they were doing it here in this last winter. Doesn't matter if you have a passport, doesn't matter if you have an ID, it doesn't matter. They're after you. Now, we are either going to take this tool away.
30 seconds.
Thank you. Or we need to find another solution. And like I said, it's not about the police. It's about the company. Flock is a private company. The data goes through them. We lease it. They get the data, then they send the images back to us. Studies have shown, and the documentaries have shown, that data is not the whole picture of what they collect. It is car color, and it is occupants in the vehicles. You can believe it or not. Do your research. But I'm asking you, before you continue to keep this tool in our disposal, do the research. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Scott Eaton. I live on East River Road. And I wanted to thank you for the actions, the proactive actions that have been taken to secure our data within the city. I'm very glad that those actions were taken, even if I could have wished the timetable was different on them. The last time I was here at the city council meeting was January 26th, which is the only time that I've seen the room packed more than this. And I think what we have proved here in Fridley is that whether it's 20 below or whether we have a record-setting heat wave, that we are going to show up for our community and to protect our neighbors. There was a mistake that was made in January that I saw on multiple fronts, which is to consider the issues that were happening here as partisan issues. And the fact is that they are not, that there are people who are responding to Operation Metro Surge, who are concerned about Flock, that are on both sides of the aisle. After the city council meeting on the 26th, people were asking me what they could do, and I encouraged them to go to caucuses to get their voices heard. I followed up with one of my Republican friends afterwards and said, how did it go? They responded that they had had to walk out of the caucus early. When I pressed why, they said that they had overheard you, Mayor Otswald, refer to our gathering here on the 26th as a group of rabble-rousers. I'm sure that you and I agree on many things politically. I probably disagree with Natividad and Mr. Clems on an equal number of things because I do not consider myself part of either party. But in this season, I'm not looking for politics. I am looking for leadership. And I'm asking for that from the Fridley City Council. I am deeply connected to the homeschool community in Minnesota, which tends to be very conservative. And I will let you know that many people in that community will turn off locations on their phone most of the time, unless they're trying to get directions to a friend's house. Not because they have anything to hide, but because they don't think that AT&T needs to know what grocery store they shop at and which library they frequent and the hours that they do that. They're concerned about privacy. Many of them don't even have a cell phone because they consider a cell phone to be an invasion of privacy.
30 seconds.
Thank you. There are concerns in Minnesota right now over fraud, with a lot of rightful frustration directed at Governor Walz, not because he was trying to feed children, because anyone with a functioning moral center can agree that children need to be fed, but because the way he implemented it didn't properly account for the ways that it could be misused. No one is concerned that the police of Fridley are trying to recover our stolen vehicles and our lost children. We thank you for it. But our concern is in the way that that has been implemented and the way that the abuse of that system was not seen ahead of time and not flagged as a risk. And so I would ask moving forward that we continue with what has been done. Thank you for those efforts.
Time.
But also to consider in the future as we're negotiating other contracts, the safety risks involved. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna take a 5-minute break here real quick, okay? Jerry, come on up.
My name is Geraldine Ronigan Payton. I live in Fridley, and I've been here for 50-plus years as a resident. And I have always felt very, very safe in Fridley. I've always felt very positive with our city council. I feel extremely positive with our police and the way they work together and the things they do. And I hear a lot of people talking about immigration and so forth, but if we really look at the flock cameras, one thing the police uses it for is stolen vehicles, finding a lost child, all these things. So when you say stop the contract, I don't think you're thinking beyond one subject. So if you look at everything they do, it is for their efficiency in solving the crimes or any outstanding things that need to be taken care of. So I think we need to trust our public safety and in making the right decisions so they can continue doing their work in a very efficient manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Payton. We're gonna take a 5-minute break. I get 9:03 on the clock. Let's go back 9:08 and we'll continue on with this.
Who's going to stand up, and I have a cat, a male cat.
Okay, everyone, can we
that
grab your seats and we'll
has,
continue
like,
on here, please?
terrorized. And so I don't know if he
You have my email,
flaked
so
somewhere.
just email me a list of your questions, and I'm sure I'll get in tomorrow, and we'll have a whole host of requests and things to follow up on. So, yeah, just email me directly your questions.
All right, hold on. I have a request. We have a young lady in the front here that would like to get up and speak right now, and I apologize for not catching you earlier.
No, I didn't. Hi, Ivana Stark, 650 67th. Just riding out the Braxtonics here in the front row, trying not to die, deciding how I wanted to handle my thoughts and if I was going to speak at all. The first thing that I have to say is when we were in this building 6 months ago having this conversation about ICE, there was a very articulate man who made a comment that he was a witch. That was the faith he practiced. And he said, you've got the witches and the Christians working together. And I just would like to point out that you have Ivana and Pam Reynolds agreeing on something. And that's really got to tell us something.
Valid point.
Like, mark it down in the record book, right? No disrespect, Ms. Reynolds. So I just would like, I don't want to sit here and read all the stats, but I would really encourage all of you to read the stats on the women across this country who have been stalked. Some of their information has been pulled hundreds of times. As the survivor of, unfortunately, more than one stalker myself, it is truly terrifying. And to know that every time we leave our homes, there could be somebody pulling this information about us. And I also wanted to point out, I assume in these meetings when there is a speaker, the camera is on the speaker and not on the council. And so I just really want to point out that I was really disturbed when Alice was giving her articulate statement that Councilmember Evanson shook his head in agreement with her, particularly when she stated that in the forum for his reelection, he, I'm going to get this wrong, called us, the majority of the people in this room, essentially terrorists. And I think that's a really divisive attitude to take in this community and in this situation, that when you are pinning one side against the other and calling names, particularly in a forum, and then reacting that way while she's speaking her truth, it's just incredibly concerning and disrespectful. So as a mom of soon-to-be 3, the third of which is about to be a girl, I am incredibly concerned with this issue of violence against women that is being exacerbated by these cameras, and again, the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women in cases that we are seeing come out of flock cameras. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stark. Yes, sir. You've been waiting patiently back here. Come on up.
My name is Roger Kubicki. I'm from the 2nd Ward. Want to thank you for opening this up for people to talk about what's happening here with the flock cameras and the problems. I had a chance to be in the meeting that you were at before this one and saw that you're very thoughtful in the way you look at issues and problems and resolve things. So just want to bring up that I was at a couple of the council meetings in Columbia Heights. A number of the people here had been there, listened to what was going on, had their inputs and such. But what hasn't been brought up yet and wasn't in the presentation was that the contract that Flock has, it is an open contract. They can change the terms and conditions at will. Standard contract that they have across all the organizations, all of the governments that have contract with them. And when you consider that this is a corporation that can be controlled by anybody at any time who decides to take over or they want to change, they can change their contract. So you may have some really good controls that you think you've got with them. Don't trust them. And one of the things that I think helped the decision with the people in Columbia Heights was how much control they had over the data. And they realized that seeing how others were tapping into it, that they didn't have that much control over it. And it's only starting because anybody who collects data, who knows where that data goes, who's going to be able to tap into it. And the only way you can control it is if you've got it in-house. And I think part of their thinking was if they could somehow bring the control of the data in-house, cameras are a smart thing. They have their own cameras, not just flock cameras, but they had, I think, 4 mobile cameras that they use themselves. So I don't think people are against the police force using cameras. I understand from the discussions with Columbia Heights that The police have in their own vehicles an ability to be able to check license plates. They have ALPRs or something to that effect where they can run license plates. So there are ways to track down vehicles. It's not the only way to track down stolen vehicles or try to go after people, that the police are going after. It's just a case of who controls the data. And unless you have total control of it and a contract that's tight, you can't trust them. So I think that was a big decision point, and I would recommend that maybe you talk to that council and the others who have made their decision to forego, $49,000 worth of contract. Just let it go, cover the cameras, and get rid of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your input.
Hi there. My name's Emily Villanueva, and I'm a resident here in Fridley. I'm here tonight to ask for the cancellation of city's flock contracts and the removal of the LPR cameras from our city. I think there are many reasons to do this, many of which have been stated tonight. I do think this is a bigger conversation than federal immigration officers and how they access the data, but I also think that is the point. They access the data, we didn't know that, then we change it to try and make them not do it, but we don't know who else has that, and that's the point about the data. This has been litigated against at much higher levels, and it is financially risky for us to hold these contracts. So when I hear this council want to be responsible and be a fiduciary member of this community, this is not it. This is not safe for us to do that. So I think this is much bigger than immigration, but it's also the point of it. That's an easy example to point to. Secondly, I want to say that I think that this body in this room is above the reductionist point that this is about being pro-police or anti-police, or pro-public safety or anti-public safety. That's not true. There's so much more nuance in that. People have stated, they've come up here over and over again, they care about the police, they care about public safety, but public safety shouldn't be warrantless surveillance on its citizens. This is a Fourth Amendment issue. So I think you guys are above that. I do feel frustrated with Councilmember Evanson rolling his eyes and laughing at people when he calls them radical activists and then doubles down on that. I think that's disrespectful. I heard the mayor say at the beginning of this, we were going to be respectful. I don't think that has been, and I dislike that. I think the city can cancel the contract and pull down the cameras while they figure out these other issues. The slide deck shows that there were audits, and the audits showed that we were doing what we needed to, and bad actors still had access to the data. So it's not enough just to have the regulations. The regulations can never keep up with the rapidly expanding technology. So until we can figure out something different, make sure police have the tools that they need, citizens don't feel like their constitutional rights are being trampled on, then we should take these cameras down. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hello, my name is Vance Trendoff. I want to start off by making something clear. I support law enforcement. I respect the men and women that put on the badge every single day to keep our streets safe and hold the criminals accountable. Public safety is one of those core, legitimate functions of local government. I guess nowadays, supporting law enforcement makes me a conservative. Conservatism has always been built on a fundamental truth. A government powerful enough to give you everything you want is powerful enough to take everything away. The flock automatic license plate cameras aren't just adding standard police tools. It is erecting a mass surveillance grid that tracks law-abiding citizens. And that goes against every principle of limited government, constitutional liberty, and personal privacy that we hold dear. Under the Fourth Amendment, we have the right to be secure in our persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches. For generations, if the police wanted to track your movement, they had to go to a judge, show probable cause, and get a warrant. Flock cameras turn that American standard upside down.
They don't just capture suspects, they record and log the movements of everyone. Every time you drive to church, visit the doctor, drop your kids off at school, or go to a political rally, your location is stamped, stored, and nationally searchable. When did we agree that being law-abiding drivers made us subject to suspicion? Presuming every citizen is a potential criminal and to prove an innocent isn't conservative. It's government overreach. Second, let's talk about where the data actually goes. Flock isn't just a local camera on a local network on a local pole. It's a private venture-backed corporation building a searchable nationwide database. Our community data doesn't just stay with this department. Through network sharing, federal agencies and out-of-state entities can access information on where our residents are driving. I distrust this deep state and federal overreach for a reason. Why would we willingly hand a private company the keys to map our daily lives and feed that infrastructure into databases and data centers? We don't need a high-tech dragnet to back our police. We need to invest in real, proven community policing, putting officers on the beat, giving them the resources they need, and respecting the constitutional boundaries that keep us all free. Security brought at the absolute expense of liberty is no security at all. I urge the council to say no to flock cameras and no to mass surveillance and stand up for the rights and privacies of citizens who built this community. Say no to mass warrantless surveillance.
Thank you.
Miss you all so much. I came back. My name is Chanel. I promise I'll be kind of quick. So I grew up in Fridley, lived here for more than 15 years. I currently live on Portland, 5 blocks away from Renee Good, who was killed. We've talked a lot about the flock cameras, obviously, but one distinction that kind of caught my eye during your presentation was the specific clear line between the public flock cameras and the privately owned flock cameras. But for most of us, it doesn't make a difference. We're still being tracked. We're still in the city of Fridley. And ultimately, it probably brings a lot of fear or a lot of confusion or a lot of other mixed emotions of feelings when you're just seeing these cameras, right? Like, you don't know how they're being used. You don't know who's accessing them in any way, shape, or form. So I would hope that down the line, at least, the council, the city of Fridley specifically, would commit to establishing a clear data privacy standard for private flock owners as well, because currently there is no real oversight as to how they choose to use that, and I get it, but many municipalities across the country are starting to put more safeguards and more guardrails in terms of how they are privately owned and privately used as well. So I would hope that in the future we can see the city of Fridley also making those same commitments as some of those other municipalities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Ms. Reynolds, been wondering why you've been delaying here on me.
Have you warmed up? And I noticed everybody had their nice little papers. Me, I'm old school. Pam Reynolds, 1241 Norton. Very recently, the United States versus Chatry ruling restricts mass surveillance by finding digital geofence warrants unconstitutional due to a lack of particularly establishing that digital dragnets violate the Fourth Amendment protections. The basic finding in multiple cases is that you can't cast a net over an entire area and call it law enforcement. I'm not going to read I did write down the Fourth Amendment. We've heard it many times. I want to say that for those who believe for 1 minute that whatever guidelines are put in place here in the city of Fridley, that the corporation Flock gives a hoot. They will give that information to any law enforcement agency that asks for it. they don't have the same rules as everybody else. I do want you to know that some cities are seeing a significant increase in tort claims since they've started using flock cameras. This is, again, something that could come back to bite us. So, for the record, we do not want flock or flock alpha, which is the next generation. We do not want phone tracking in patrol cars. We do not want signal trace sensors. We do not want Motorola products. We do not want drones. We don't want any mass surveillance system building a database of our daily lives.
30 seconds.
We want to live without being tracked, monitored, logged, profiled, or monetized. Spy cameras do not equal safety. I want to make note that Amazon owns Ring Doorbell. They have a contract with Flock to access that doorbell information. So no matter what anybody is telling you, no matter what you put in place, the only cure is to take them down, turn them off, and quit using them.
Time. Thank you. Is that it for the evening?
I'll move.
Good evening. I'm going to speak in response to some of the claims that were made so far this evening.
Say your name, please.
Hi, my name is John. I would like to speak about claims made both by the city and by some members of the community. Claims that these cameras are used to investigate and not used to convict are demonstrably false. There have been multiple reports of individuals who have been arrested based on alerts from AI-powered ALPRs. Some of these reports include people who were held for weeks or months on nothing more than an alert from Flock or competing systems before being released due to lack of evidence. Stated differently, innocent people are currently serving time without even being seen in court because of data collected through AI surveillance systems. There have been claims that these tools can help to solve crimes more quickly, and this is obviously true, but misses the concern. These cameras do not discriminate between those who are criminals and those who are not. You have made claims this evening about how data is or is not being used, but have failed to address the reality that AI surveillance systems frequently have contracts that even if they grant ownership of the data collected to the city, they grant licensure of the data to the corporations that build and subsidize these systems in our community. And that by extension, that data is made accessible to other parties, some of whom are not even government agencies at any level of government. It was addressed during the city's presentation that officers must provide justification for queries against Flock data. Reporting has indicated that the justification field is a free-form text input. In other words, a person performing a query could claim any justification for their action without validation. There has been an assumption stated that the surveillance data that is being collected by third parties using these cameras and microphones is managed securely. But independent reporting has demonstrated that Flock hardware is not hardened against network attack. Those claims have been independently verified, and months later, Flock has declined to take action to secure their systems. I do not wish to speak negatively about Fridley Police or impugn the work that they do. Just laws should be enforced, and tools such as AI ALPRs clearly may assist them in the work that they do, but we could make that claim about many other technologies or approaches. We don't outfit police with tanks or mortars, and AI surveillance has the potential to be even more dangerous than those things, and we should be at least as critical of investments in mass surveillance as we might be of those other weapons. These systems infringe on our privacy. They lessen our individual liberties, even while they provide some improved security. But, quote, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. And I think Benjamin Franklin was right in that regard.
Thank you. Is that it for the evening? All right, that being said, I'm going to have a closing statement for this. Thank you to everyone who came out tonight, shared your perspective. Whether you support this technology or have serious concerns about it, your voice matters and we hear you. I want to be transparent about what comes next. Director George is out of town this week, and any meaningful next steps on this topic will involve him. This council will not be taking action tonight, and I want to be straightforward that a decision of this magnitude is not something we rush into in the coming weeks. That may be frustrating to hear, but this is how we do business here in Fridley. We engage our community, we listen carefully, we consider all angles, we take the time to get it right and to limit risk to the people and organizations that we serve. That deliberate approach is how good policy gets made. What I can commit to you is that this conversation is not over. We will follow up with those of you who signed in tonight, and when Director George returns, this council will continue its discussion with the benefit of tonight's public comment and Deputy Director Faber's presentation. Thank you again for being here. Moving on, our next item of the informal status report. Does anybody on the staff or council have anything that they would like to share with the viewing or audience in attendance this evening?
Oh, gosh, what a great 49ers days we had. Just all of it was amazing. From one thing to the next. Unfortunately, because of the weather, we were unable to have our parade, but and it was very hot. So I want to thank all the volunteers, the city staff. They were there working right up to the last minute, and I think there's a lot of things that are not great right now, but I think Commons Park, the new public art, and all the smiles on all the kids and parents that the kids are having so much fun. And just want to, that's all I have to say. It was tremendous.
Thanks, Ann.
Thank you to everyone that came out tonight. Really appreciate that.
I'd like to thank Fridley staff, in particular Staff Member Malik, for clearing the runway for a Fridley resident to get through road construction today. A phone call was made and he was able to get home after a procedure. Again, thanking the staff for helping out residents. When you need help, give a call. They will listen and help out.
We also have an event.
Also, East River Road's going to be
Closure of East River Road, yep. And we have Night to Unite is coming up. So those of you that are having block parties, hopefully we'll run into you. I know we try to get out and visit as many as we can. That is the 4th, I believe, isn't it? Yep. Okay. So we're looking forward to seeing a lot of you in the community here. Nothing else? All right, if there's nothing else, then a motion to adjourn would be in order.
A motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion Vesio, second from Cardona. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And thank you all for attending and coming out here this evening. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Nice job, Scott. That's really good.
I had a team of that. Okay. Well, no, we're here to listen. That's what the goal is. So. All right, we got you right up first too, though. So thank you for staying all the way to the end as well.